Hello and welcome back everyone to next episode on anubhavtrainings.com where we are learning SAP Build Process Automation in this series of videos. In the last episode, you saw how to configure and test the mail destination in the BTP account for build process. In today's session, we will look at how to create an approval form in SAP Build Process Automation service. So let's get started and create an approval form for our sales order scenario where I will be utilizing an API trigger to start my build process with sales order data and then have an approval form for my agent to approve or reject my sales order approval process. So let's get into system. And the moment you add that input here, you can see the structure is pretty visible. And as a next step, when you click on API trigger, you can see the moment somebody call it, a call has to come and they have to pass order data in the format which we define. And same will be then propagated to the next consecutive steps because it's through the API. So API trigger has got this output automatically which it receives. So API will receive this input from a caller and it will give it to me in the subsequent steps, which I can leverage, reuse to build my process. So let us click on add button to add a approval form like I demonstrated in the PPT first. Yeah. So now I just go back and click on add to create a approval form. So let's create an approval form. Yes, and we can click on create, and this is order approval form. You can give a name. Identifier is a unique ID of every artifact which you create, should not have a space, and description. Approval form for order. Yes, so I can click on create. Now you see there's a question mark which says field from the selected form will automatically be added read only in this approval. Field can still be deleted and added. So if you would want to create a copy, yeah, so you can always do that. So if there is already a form, you can create a copy from there. Yeah. So I don't have anything. It's a fresh one. Click and create. And now a form builder will open. That is again a low code, no code experience. Yes, you see it's coming red because when this approval form is reaching to manager, what is will be the subject which manager see. So that's why it's showing red. It is must be given a subject. So please approve or request for approval of sales order, and I need to inject now a number. So what I can do, I can do binding. Yes, I can do binding. So when I click here, double click here, I get the process input. What is the input? So these are the input fields. So here I can specify that I want to bind it with a get it the order number. Yeah. So I can't do it because not a text field. So we have to go back and make it as a text field actually because the data is a string format. So I will go back to my data type, modify a little bit my data type and make this order number as a string, which then can be bound. So I save it, cancel it, come out, close the panel, left panel, and then we can actually show the order number in the subject line when this is received to the by the manager. So you see, I bind it. Now I can say, hey manager, your employee, and then I can again do the binding like created by, yeah, for example, I can just do that always. So I can say your employee have requested for an order approval, kindly review. And what will happen? Yes, they will actually get a work item. So whenever this step is executed, the manager will receive a notification with this text, yeah, and this description, and then they can approve it. Now who should receive this? So I have to enter my ID right now. We will also talk about agent concept later on. So my SAP BTP account ID. I can go to settings and check it here. This is the email ID. I will enter this person. So I myself will receive this work item. Yeah. So whenever a process is executed, so let's understand the terminology. What is a work item? So when we execute a step, yeah, at runtime, the user or the agent, yeah, or the approver will receive a notification that is due to the runtime instance of a step which was executed in process build in the process. So when a process runs at runtime and when a step gets executed, what happens? The user will receive a notification. Where will they receive this? So there is a special application called my inbox application, which I will also show you how to configure and bring it. So that time they will receive a notification in that application. So that is due to the work item. So the runtime instance of a step of the process is called work item. Yes. So it will come in the manager's my inbox app. This will be received typically in a standard app in BTP work zone called my inbox app. Yeah. My inbox app. That's where it is going to come. Fabulous. So this will be the process we will be looking at when it comes to executing our business process step by step. Cool. So then can this person forward this request to another manager or not? So that we can say, then we have groups. Suppose, for example, if you would want many managers to receive the same work item, then you can give a name of the group. Yeah, like a DL, yeah, distribution list you have in your company. Then if they don't take an action for a given span of time, what will happen to the work item? So will it there be for a specific period? I'll tell you the reason why we do this. Suppose an employee requested for a leave on 31st March. Now manager has to take a decision before 31st March for approving or rejecting that leave. After 31st March is passed, that leave request was not attended by manager. It makes no sense. It's useless. So in that case, we can give a deadline. This is called deadline monitoring. Yeah. So we can actually put a date, duration, or date. Yeah. Yes. So that will decide how long this validity of this work item will be in the inbox. If validity expires, the work item will get deleted automatically. Yeah. And the workflow gets terminated. Yeah. And then that business process gets terminated, and the process reviewer can check the details into the monitoring section. We will do that deadline monitoring concept also later on. So that is the thing which we configured an approval form, and now I can design this form. So open the approver form editor. Typically, an approver form always contains two buttons at the bottom, approve and reject button. That's what you're going to get it. So you can see there are two buttons. You can add additional buttons, but we go with the standard experience. And now we can add here heading. So heading one. So I can say manage or sales order approval. Yes, I can add that. Then I can add heading two, and I can say please review the details of the sales order created by sales representative and kindly approve and reject the same. That's a description. And now I have many options to choose, like we can add simple text, we can add text area, we can add drop downs, radio buttons, check boxes, numbers, date, and table. different fields we can add. So I can add normally a field actually, which is a combination of uh, the combination of field text and field. So I add that. You can see here I can add text. So let's say order number, sales order number, and that is the field. Now I make it read only because manager can only review. They cannot change the order number, right? So that I can do. And then I will add one more like distribution channel or sales organization. Then make it also read only, sales organization, distribution channel, division, order type, yeah, and order amount. So all these fields I'm creating read only because manager can only review that. We can put order date, that's a date field. Yeah, again read only. Yeah. So we put the date field with the label order date, read only. And these are all my properties. Then amount is already done. Finally, we can put currency code. So we can put a currency code field also, bare minimum fields I added. Then we can just also put a checkbox just to show you. So I accept the terms and conditions before mm, deciding on the approval. Yeah. So basically I comply to my, some kind of a confirmation, double confirmation we are taking that I'm complying to these things. So it's purely low code, no code. There's no coding, but you're designing this screen. And now we can also put an additional note by the approver. So let me add a text area and I can say note by approver. This is an editable field which manager can edit additional notes they can add to the representative. You did a good job, fantastic, something like that. So these two things are editable. So naturally what happens, they will become my output variable from the form. So form will return this data out. I save it and this form will now be ready. I can go back and if you check back to the step, the approval form step, you will see there will be automatically some output data which is configured. You see output and then you can see I accept terms and condition and note to approver. These are the two editable data which we created and they become an output automatically. Input is what the data was, currency, distribution channel. So now you come back to the slide and understand what's happening. So when S4HANA calls your process in the BTP, which is deployed there, it will pass all the data to you. Yeah. Or when this build app or a Fury app call this business process in the BTP, yeah, then they will pass all the data. So eventually you will receive the order data from the sales representative, which was input by sales representative eventually in the process, yeah, as a input to the process. You're going to receive that information out of the box. So what will happen? You will get all this data eventually. Yeah, all this data eventually over here. You're going to get that data. So this data is what you're going to receive over here. When you receive this data, you need to actually show this data in the form to the manager, whatever data they are passing you. So you have to do binding. By the way, there is a special name to this data. It's called context. Yeah. So let me explain what is context in context of the build process automation. So a context is the data which is circulated and available in our business process throughout the execution of the process. So throughout the entire execution of business process, the data which is made available to you is called context. Yeah. Now, this data will be based on the data type we create and connect to API trigger. So in our case, we did it with the sales order type structure with all the data. So that is the data you expect somebody to pass to you from S4 or from other application to start your process, as it was also required. That's called context. Usually this is available in JSON format, JavaScript object notation. Now, those who come from a web background, you don't know what is JSON. Let me explain you. It's a format of data. It's a very lightweight format of data. That's called JSON. So a JSON, the full form is JavaScript object notation, but it is nothing but a key value pair. Yeah. So it has a key and it has a value. So it starts with curly braces. It has a key. It has a value. Key value. Key value. Key value. Key value. Key value. So it has a key value pair actually. That is what called a JSON. Clear? Easy? Key value, key value. If you compare it with ABAP, if you come from ABAP background, it is like a structure where you have a component and you have a value for that component. So again, it's a key value. So let's say you have a component called employee ID or order number. Yeah, order number. Then you have, let's say, order ship to party, yes, order date. All these are keys. And the value is, let's say, 101, ship 1, date is 2025, December, yeah, 12, something like that. That is your key value pair. So the same is represented with this JSON. Easy? That's a data structure we use often. So this context is always will be in the JSON format. I will show you that also in the system once we confirm it. So what we will do now, the incoming data through this API needs to bind so that the manager can see. And it's super easy. Just click here, double click, whatever is the input, you can bind it. So currency, bind it. Distribution channel, I can't bind it. Output must be of type string. Only then we can bind it. So let's go back and make them string so that we can bind it. Things which are number, they will bind with number fields only. So in the form, we've created most of the fields as string. So that's why they should be string. If it's a number data, then only it can bind with number data. So maybe you can also change the form if you want. So you can come back to the form, and there the distribution channel, though it's coming as a number, you can also change this to the number. So let me just see. Can add, yeah, here you see number. So I can add that as a number only. So yes, it is possible to bind the number also, but then you have to add it as a number field only. Yeah. So instead of the distribution channel, I delete, I will add a number field. Yes. So I can do the binding. You see hashtag. Again, make it read only. Save my form, and now the binding will also work for number data. I can come back to my process and come back here, go to input, distribution channel, and Wahala. You see, it's available for binding. I accept, I don't have to pass anything. Note, I don't have to pass. Order amount, net amount, that was a number, but the field which we created in the form was not a number. So I got to change that as well. Amount is a number. So it's a number field. So I can come back, delete, and then I'm just going to be adding a number field for the amount also. Okay, good. I update that. So now you know the secret why the fields were not available to be bound with the number. So let's complete the binding. Input and order date. It binds with the date. You see matching data types. It does this checks order type. Here order value is a number. Order number is a string. Yeah. Sales organization. Sales organization. Here it is. So we have done the binding. So whatever data S4HANA or the external application passes to me, that is the data I'm going to use it. Yeah. Now you see process instance ID and started by. So somebody was asking a question that Anubhav, if I want to make it dynamic, that this particular data, yeah, this particular work item should go in the inbox of the person who started it rather than my own email ID. So I should ideally remove this hard coding and I can just go here and say process started by. So once I deploy this process, if you start it, you're going to get a work item. If I start it, then I'm going to get. But if I hard code my email ID, then always I will get a work item, even you run it. But this time now, it will be received by the person who started it. That's better way of marking a user there.